Hey everyone, welcome to episode 3 of iSampleU with me, Dean, aka Dino Beats. If you're just joining me for episode 3, I definitely recommend going to check out episodes 1 and 2. I had a ton of fun making those beats and I really think you guys will enjoy them. Again, the idea of this project is that I'm collecting audio files from anyone, from any source, of any kind, whether it's instrumental files, vocal acapellas, old phone recordings, or any funny videos you may have, and then turning them into awesome beats. For this episode, I received 2 submissions from my buddy Collin Murtaugh, but I just chose to focus on one of them, so let's check it out. One more time. So that iconic clavichord sound instantly reminded me of Stevie Wonder, so I wanted to make sure that my beat had a nice, lilting, kind of Stevie Wonder-ish groove. So as usual, the first thing I wanted to do was make some kind of new sound out of the clavichord sound that Collin gave me. So I brought the clavichord sound into the Logic Quick Sampler. As you can see, here's the entire audio file. But I just focused on one little section of it that I could loop really fast and play on the keyboard. So without any effects, this is what that sounds like. Kind of abrasive and harsh, and I also noticed that it was mostly coming through in my left ear channel. So the first thing I did is I went into the Logic built-in gain plugin and hit the mono button so that it would only come through in the center. And next I brought on the FabFilter Pro Q3 to EQ out a lot of the harsh high end. So it sounds like this. Then I put on the Waves Doubler plugin to give it a little bit more stereo depth. Kind of like a chorusy effect. Then I brought on the C1 compressor to sidechain with the kick drum. Again, I've done this in previous videos, but so every time the kick will hit, the sample will duck out of the way a little bit. I brought on the Waves CLA 76 compressor to give it a little bit more volume and punch. And then I brought on the Waves Kramer tape emulator plugin to give it a little more tape saturation. Then I busted out to FabFilter's Pro R Reverb to give it a nice airy reverb sound, and I laid down some nice R&B chords. So with all that together, this is what that sounds like. Then I went into Arturia's DX7 synth emulator and found a nice electric piano sound that I could use to layer with the synth sound that I made from the clav. Here's what it sounds like by itself. Then I put on the NLS channel to give it a little bit more of that analog warmth. FabFilter's Pro Q3 to duck out a lot of the mud from the bottom end and a little bit of the harshness from the high end. And unless you're wearing headphones, these changes are going to be barely noticeable, but they'll help in the overall mix in the end. Next, I added Waves R compressor. The FabFilter Saturn plugin to give it a little bit more saturation. Again, the C1 compressor sidechained with the kick, and the Waves Doubler plugin to give it a little bit more stereo width. Then for the chorus, I knew I wanted to layer in some more synth sounds, so I went into Arturia's Synclavier, which is a clavichord emulator. And I found this little plinky clavichord sound that I ended up using for this. And on that, I did a lot of subtractive EQ to give it its own place in the frequency spectrum. I put on the Soundtoys microshifter to give it kind of a chorusy widening sound. Again, I used the C1 compressor sidechain with the kick drum, and again, the Waves R compressor just to really tame the dynamics. For the bass, I used the Arturia CS80 emulator with a nice buzzy low sound. And on that, all I really did was use the CLA3A compressor to tame the dynamics a little bit and use the R bass to give it a nice boost at 60 Hz. I also knew that I wanted to create some kind of synth lead out of the clav sample that Collin sent me, so I just put that back into the quick sampler on a different track and just took the last note of the sample, which just sounds like this. It just is a basic clav sound. So on that, I put on the CLA3A compressor. I put on Soundtoys Little Altar Boy to pitch it up an octave and give it a weird formant shift. And I put on the Cable Guy's Pancake 2 to give it an automatic pan, so it'll kind of pass back and forth between your left and right ears if you're listening in headphones. And that sounds like this. Then I found a nice thumpy kick sound from the KN Beats Essentials kit. I found a nice wet clap sound from the 730 Matrix drum kit. And on that, I busted out to the Valhalla Supermassive reverb, which is free, by the way. And then for hi-hats this week, I messed around in Logic's built-in drum machine designer, which makes it super easy to do awesome percussion patterns with the step sequencer. And to tie it all together, I went on YouTube and found an a cappella version of Talib Kweli's Hostile Gospel Part 1 and laid it over the beat, and I thought it sounded awesome, so I just kept it in.
And what the people say, we want to live it up. And what the people want, please deliver us.
So as you'll hear, I took a lot more liberty with the sample for this week, but without further ado, here is the beat for episode 3 of iSampleU. Enjoy.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Shh. And what the people say, we want to live it up. And what the people want, please deliver us. And what the people need, hey. I got that, yeah. I call these rappers baby seals cause they club you to death. I can call them Navy SEALs cause they government fed. What become of the vet? They drugged up, they fucked up, they in debt. There ain't no love and no respect, it's like a gang, it's like a club or a set. Hip-hop, the new WWF. What do you rap or do you West? So niggas love to forget. We got till it's gone, you think you on, you still hustling back with your topical norm, a tropical storm at the fucking disaster. Back to the topic we on, it all started in raucous. They couldn't find the words to describe me, so they resort to the shortcuts to see your backpacker, and see your mad rapper, and entertainer or the author of the last chapter. We living in these times of love and cholera, synonymous with the apocalypse. Look up the clouds, it's ominous. We got maybe 10 years left, say meteorologist shit. We still waiting for the Congress to acknowledge this. What the people want, please deliver us. We wanna live it up, please deliver us. This is the hostile gospel. I'm reaching through the fire, please deliver us. We preaching to the choir, please deliver us. Just keep it real with us. You scared to spill your blood, your words wrong and hollow. You need someone to follow. You ain't promised tomorrow, so get your paper up. You can't always just borrow and ask for favors, bruh. Stand on your own too, never covet the neighbor stuff. Karma's a bitch, so watch your mouth for what you're saying, bruh. I start a conversation based on general observation. Hip-hop is not a nation, take it to population. Niggas got a lot to say when locked inside the belly of Satan. Awaiting trial, debating how the hell I got placed in the system. Am I a victim or just a product of indoctrination? They exploit and they use me like a movie with product placement. You hear the congregation, this is the hostile gospel. The truth is hard to swallow, it'll leave you scarred tomorrow. Keep it honest, our motto. These niggas keep it bottled. I'm the writer who reached the fighters like speeches by custom model. DJs sticking the vinyl like fuck Serato. Supplies who ride around the block in the custom model. Ballin' like they struck the lotto. You know who the cleanest is. A nigga keep it rich with the stitch and greedy genius is. I'm not a hipster, but I flip it like a sneaker pimp. Expose the game, treat it like a bitch. Smack fire out these hoes, cause they snitch and tap wives while I plead the fifth. Can't trust a soul in his biz. Be careful who you eating with and sleeping with, and also who you chiefing with. You never know, they might have added in secret ingredients. What the people want, please deliver us. We wanna live it up, please deliver us. This is the hostile gospel. I'm reaching through the fire, please deliver us. We preaching to the choir, please deliver us. Just keep it real with us. You scared to spill your blood, your words wrong and hollow.
So that's all for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed the beat for episode 3 of iSampleU. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this. And feel free to leave a comment if there's anything you guys want to see, hear, or know about in the next episode. Again, I'm still accepting submissions for this series, so if you'd like to send something my way to sample, you can send it to productionbydino@gmail.com. This beat and all my other iSampleU beats will be available for streaming on SoundCloud or BeatStars, and the link will be in the description down below. Toss me a follow on Instagram at dean.thebean. But that's all for this week, so I'll catch you all on the flip-flop.
Please deliver us. We preaching to the choir. Please deliver us. Just keep it real with us. You scared to spill your blood. Your words wrong and hollow. You need someone to follow. You You ain't promised tomorrow, so get your paper up. You can't always just borrow and ask for favors.